On this episode, we want to share with you a very simple but incredibly powerful tool that will help you create true transformation in your life. We call it letting go. Mitra and I have both been really practicing this and have benefited so much from it. So let's open this up, Mitra. Letting go. Talk to me about what that is for you. What is your process?
So for me, the first step is to basically be aware that there is an experience, a feeling there that is a little bit like tighter and less comfortable than normal, or really maybe really uncomfortable. So awareness of the existence of that experience and that feeling. And then the next thing that happens for me is remembering that all I need to do is to get out of the way. Allow the energy that is there, the feeling that is there to be there, because there's a purpose for it. It has come on a beautiful mission. And I need, like I would get out of an ambulance that is aiming to go and help someone. What do? We just go to the side and allow the ambulance to go. So I do the same thing with this maybe uncomfortable or even very difficult kind of feelings that I have. And once I do that, and if I'm able to do that, because sometimes I can't or I don't, but when I do that, then I experience something really interesting, that it comes and informs me. It actually tells me why it was here. And then I'm the beneficiary of that. But all I needed to do was be aware, like make room for it and get out of the way. Okay, I hear an ambulance. Let me just park on the side.
The
And then
ambulance would be what? Like
an
an emotion?
emotion,
Okay.
yes, and that is not comfortable. Usually it has more energy. And I don't want to always say like it's negative. Sometimes it's also like excitement, but there is something that has information for me. And that energy has a lot of information. So usually what I would do if I wasn't aware in that moment, I would either want to get rid of it or label it or stick to it and want to avoid it or want to change it. That's another thing. Oh, this doesn't feel comfortable. Let me just change it into something. Let me just laugh. I want to laugh and be happy all the time. And it's like, that's great. Be happy. But right now there's something that needs your attention. So really allowing it to be there. And it's just fascinating how I can become expansive and wiser in no time when I'm actually able to hold that space and get out of the way. And then there's one step that is missing in the ambulance analogy. We just let it go, and ambulance goes and saves someone. But in this case, it's really helping us. Then I need to actually be aware what's going on. What did I learn? What did this energy tell me? And then it just arrives. It's
It
just
just
naturally
arrives.
just
There's no
arrives.
trying. There's no trying to
No.
rationalize or think about. It just arrives. The wisdom of that experience just reveals itself. It's as if it was covered, and then it gets uncovered, and you're like, oh,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, I get it now.
Yes.
I was scared, and
Yeah.
because of this and that and whatever. No, that was not. That was all a misconception, misunderstanding of what the reality of the situation is.
Yes. Yes. And what do you do? How do you work with these discomfort or uncomfortable emotions?
It's really similar. As you know, I follow David Hawkins' work. He has this technique. It's called the letting go technique. It's the same thing. It's really, the essence of it is very similar to mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's becoming aware of the feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just, I become aware of the feeling.
Right.
Whatever unease it is, it can be the subtlest unease, right? I'm just aware of it, and I allow myself to feel it. Let it come up fully. Don't change it. Don't even label it. I'm experiencing it for what it is, pure energy. Pure energy, discomfort in the body. Okay, feel it, feel it, feel it. My mind wants to resist, okay? I let go of that. And then as I just stay with it without trying to change it, it naturally, the energy subsides. And then, as you say, the clarity comes in about the situation, what that was. I don't even have to figure out what it was. It just reveals itself, what was happening. Now, it sounds very easy, but our minds are very stubborn. And our minds, I'm going to speak of my experience. My mind has so much resistance. You know, I've experienced myself and my mind wanting to constantly resist and repress things, right? And I know that that's happening. I know it's resistance when it's not, the energy is not open, free. It's not a pleasant energy. It's some sort of tightness and contraction, right? I know my mind is resisting. So I might experience the energy of anger, let's say, and I'm like, okay, I got to feel this anger. I made a mistake already for myself by calling it anger. It's just energy.
Yes.
Now the mind is wanting to go to that uncomfortable, what I call anger energy, but it's nothing is happening. It's because I'm resisting. I'm noticing a resistance. I'm fighting the resistance to try and get to the anger, and parts of me are now fighting with each other. So what do? I feel the resistance, the energy of the resistance, and I'm labeling it as that right now. But when I'm doing the experience, there's no labeling, there's no words. It's just feeling the energy. It's like, oh, let me just feel this. And when I experience resistance, I experience energy in my head. It's as if my head is trying to control the situation, and I just feel that energy in the head. I just feel it. Oh, that's interesting. And then the energy just seems to run out and subside. And then I start to feel what was underneath that, which was what we're calling that anger energy. And that's the gist of my process.
It's very interesting to just hear you explain your process, which is, I think they're all in essence, they're the same thing. I write about this in my upcoming book, The Attentionist, that I actually experience emotions, like the energies that there are there, as like old-fashioned bellboys, that they're going around and just they have some news for you. And what we want to do is, what mind wants to do, the rational mind wants to do, is to alter the message or silence the message that it is carrying, because it is afraid. Rational mind is very afraid of unknown. It just wants to know everything, something that it already knows. So it's just that, and it wants to alter it or silence it, or say just no, there's no news, there is no bellboys, but there is. I can hear the bellboy going like la 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 la, or bell person. I suppose it's the old fashioned name. So what is happening is that information wants to be known by me. The me that is into expansion, not to into contraction, wants to know that. That's why the emotion is there. I actually have called it. I want to. It's like you've ordered this food and it's arriving, and somebody's saying, no, there's no food. There's no food. No. You shouldn't be eating that food.
No,
It's not good. So like, no. I ordered it. I really want it. And the rational mind comes in the way, because rational mind is really obsessed with our protection and our survival. And
Yes.
what the food is, it's for our growth. So it says, no growth. Growth, it brings potential danger. How about if you just stay here, but stay safe?
Yeah.
I keep you safe,
Yeah.
protected from growth.
Yep.
Even.
That's exactly what I experienced. Yep.
Yeah. So it's really interesting, this process.
Now, here's the thing, because it can get so tricky, right? We could think we're doing the process of letting go, but really we're blended with that one of our protective parts that's trying to modify it in some way, or make it fit, go in a certain direction. And we want to be aware of this, because what is that part of us? Forget about what it's doing, but what's the energy behind that that's wanting to modify and change it? When I really tune in, it's this underneath that.
Mm-hmm.
There's fear. There's that energy of fear.
It
I'm
is fear.
labeling it as fear.
Yeah.
But when I'm doing the process, there is no labeling. It is just feeling the underlying energy, of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to share a tool, or kind of like a perspective that I use to help me identify when I'm blended with one of my ego parts, one of these protective mechanisms of the mind, right? So I believe that my essence is love. And what is love? How do I define love? Love is sweet. Love is tender. Love is connective. Love is open. Love is creative. Love is abundant. Love is inclusive. If what I'm experiencing does not fall within those levels of experience,
Mm-hmm.
then it's some form of resistance, ego, mind, fear. I just asked the simple question, is this love?
Mine is simpler. Does it feel
Yeah.
right? That's it. Because once I get too entangled in these questioning, that I know every question gives permission to the rational mind to just jump in. I just say one question: does it feel right to me? Because feelings are, for me, I'm connected with my feelings, and it may not work for everybody. But my best tool of checking with anything is like, how does it feel? How does it feel? And it may be unfamiliar feeling. So unfamiliar is good, but does it feel tense, contracting, as you called it, or is it expanding? So that's the forever question that has been in the world of consciousness, and it will be. How does it feel to you? And it's very personal, and it's very, very clear once you start asking, and it's like a language you're developing with yourself. How does it feel? Because most of the time we're disconnected with ourselves, we are disembodied, so I don't even know how it feels. But when I get in touch with feeling things, including those that are not welcomed, it just starts telling me that just doesn't feel right. By the way, naturally, we are connected to those feelings. Good luck trying to get a 1 year old, a 2 year old on my lap if they don't feel it on that moment, or a dog or a cat. I hold the prize for them, they come and grab it, and they leave. Because in that moment, it doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It's just in that moment, they don't feel good to be with me or on my lap or next to me, and they leave. Children know it. Dogs and cats and animals know it. So we obviously have it, except as we grow older in this world of, I call it somethingness, then we learn that we trust other outwardly things than our own feelings. So I look at you and I say, did he say good morning? Did he pull the chair for me? Did he say please? So, and I'm not saying these are not appropriate words. I'm saying I only rely on that. And I forget to rely also, did you feel right to me? Did you feel right? And if he didn't, then it doesn't matter. You may be the most polite man on earth. You may be the wonderful person. But right now, whatever it is that we're exchanging, or whatever it is that we may be speaking or doing together, is not feeling right to me. So we lose the good and bad. We silence the rational mind who likes to opine based on its past knowing, and then we connect to this present feeling that is so clear and so unbiased. It just says no. And I may never know why. And it doesn't matter. It just says no to this moment, to this experience with this person. And I trust that. And I say, thank you so much. Thank you for your invitation. Thank you for this, the conversation. And I move on with the next experience, respecting you, but more importantly, respecting the feeling that I'm experiencing. And it's so for me and for my growth. So the rational mind is for my survival and protection, and these feelings are for expansion. Completely different purposes and intentions for them. Sometimes I need to only listen to my rational mind. If I feel in danger, if there is something happening, I won't be feeling my stuff. I'm just going to say, what should I do? Oh, I should pack this. I should take this. I should do that. Like you and I were in a fire experience recently in Los Angeles. So what did we do? What did I do? I know for sure I got my rational mind working. What do I need to pack? I may never ever come back to this home. And rational mind gave me a beautiful list and I left. So there's room for rational mind, which is when we're in survival mode, when it's like logical things, but feelings are just, they say so much.
Absolutely. And I agree with you in my personal experience. And I can say for so long, what felt right, I didn't even know because my baseline was fear.
Yes.
That was my baseline. It's like, when you're in a room and you listen to the AC, there's the AC. When you first enter the room, you hear it. It's really loud. And when you're in there long enough, you forget that it's there.
Yeah.
And you can't even identify. Someone asks you, is it silent in the room right now? And there's no other sound but the AC, but you're like, yeah, it's totally silent. But that AC is still running. And it's similar to that. And my baseline for so long, for most of my life, was fear, anxiety, worry, guilt. I had
Where?
forgotten what feels right, which is not those things, right? Is. And so for me, this is why being able to have that, reminding myself of the context. I've had the experience of what I've shared with you as love, reminding myself of that context. Sometimes I need to do that consciously to be like, oh, okay, yeah. I have a memory in the analogy of the AC. I remember the memory of when I was in true silence to note that, oh wait, there's an AC actually going right now. So
Can you give us a real example of when you discovered that in your life?
yeah, this is a great one. So we talked about this a little bit earlier. This morning, actually, I got this clarity about this part of myself that has been really influencing my spiritual path, which lately there's been a lot of time in contemplation. There's been celibacy. There's no drinking. There's no TV. There's all of these things. And what I observed was that while those have been really great for me and for my spiritual growth and for just finding more inner peace, I also recognize that there was a part of me that was scared of those things. I was scared of, if I watch TV, what it could do for me to me. I could get sucked in. If I start drinking again, scared that it might suck me into that world and uh, you know, uh, something bad will happen. If I have sex, it could derail my my efforts, and I could lead me into a bad dark place.
Mm-hmm.
So I became aware of how much this part, it's not the energy of love. It was behind it was the energy of fear. And so it wasn't true freedom. It wasn't true freedom. If I can go about worldly activities, and even if I want to have a drink here or there too, even if I want to watch a film here or there, to be able to do it without the charge of like, oh, what if this leads me off the wrong path, without that fear, then I'm free, right? And if I then choose, you know what, I can experience all those things, and I'm just choosing not to. I'm not afraid of them. It's just not a lifestyle choice I choose to make. It's a different energy.
Yes.
And it was so subtle because I have truly, I've experienced such a greater degree of inner peace, of love, of clarity in my life as a result of making those decisions. But still, it's been very subtle. That subtle fear has been in the background.
Yes.
And so I'm aware of that now. And this literally happened this morning. This clarity really came in more clearly than it ever has before. And just being with that and actually not trying to change the fear,
Mm-hmm.
not trying to change it, not even trying to understand it,
Mm-hmm.
just feeling that, just feeling the energy of that. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm in the middle of feeling it, even as we speak. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. It's amazing how we can do the right thing, healthy thing, for the unhealthy reasons. And, and that's quite misleading for ourselves, because if you ask, it's just, oh, I'm very strong, I'm doing this and that. So energy of, or intention perhaps, of why I'm doing what I'm doing becomes extremely important. Like, it's not just what you do, and it's why you do what you do, and with what energy you do what you do is very, very important. Yeah.
Yeah. It was fascinating, Mitras. I'm even afraid of using too much of my mind. I'm afraid of addiction. My mind has this addictive tendency, right? And even like I'm scared of going down rabbit holes of, information and feeding my intellect because of I'm just scared of my own mind. I can't describe exactly why, but that energy is there. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating. I was not really aware of it until this morning, the degree of it, the
Yeah.
degree of how much that has been influencing me. It could be so subtle. It could be so
Yes.
subtle. But once you see it, it's not subtle anymore. It
Yes.
becomes so obvious.
Yes. And you wonder why I didn't see it before. Yeah, it's fascinating. For me, it's actually in the area of motherhood. I have
Ah, yes. I want to hear
it's
about your
it's
motherhood.
very
Your
interesting. I have a very liberated relationship with my two daughters. Very liberated. It's not traditional relationship, um, even though I traditionally did mother them. But it's very fascinating. I believe in liberation. I have almost let go of all, even desires, not just action, for control. And I celebrate them, and they're both unusually liberated human beings that I not only love but also like, because everybody, I mean almost every parent loves their children, but liking them is a very different story, and I truly like and love both my daughters. However, in that liberated relationship, which has almost no control element in it, even desire for control, so there's a lot of spaciousness for our relationship. It's not a traditional everyday like kind of involvement. And I can hear fear entering. So 2 days goes by and I'm like, we haven't had any contact, and immediately says, oh, am I a bad mother? Oh, it's been 2 days. I have no idea what they're doing. Did they go? Did they have a great time? And then it's just like the door opens and I see, oh, fear is arriving. And I just say, no, 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 thank you. And I intentionally do not contact them on that particular moment or day, because I know it was because fear wanted to know, not me, not the love, not because I really love to hear their voice.
Yeah,
It's not like
big
I love,
difference.
a huge difference. It would sound the same. I called or I reached out and I said, like, can we talk? but but it would be for completely different reasons, and they're just made out of two different things. You can tell the difference once you
Tell
start,
me how
like,
you can tell. What's the difference in the
ah,
feeling?
Yeah.
The feeling of when the fear is telling you to call versus love is telling you to call.
They are so close, Ben. They are so close. It's like excitement and fear. It's like, it's, but it's not, it's, oh, what is closing down? That's fear. One is, they're both, but the one is, oh,
It's
it's
like a
closing.
contraction.
It's,
It's a
it's
contraction.
exactly, it's a
Yeah.
contraction or expansion.
Yeah.
And the other one is opening. It's like, ooh, yes, I'm going to call and I'm going to hear them and I'm going to hear about their trip or their experience or whatever, or even their sadness. You know, there is excitement in hearing how these two amazing beings that I watched their growth minute by minute, breath by breath, are working with the pains in their life. It is so exciting. So there is that sense of excitement and openness and curiosity. The
Mm-hmm.
other one is contraction, closeness, and judgment.
And tension. Tension is the word that came to my mind. There's
Yes,
like
but judgment was a key word for me. The judgment. It's like
mm,
I'm either judging me, oh, I didn't call, or why did they
uh-huh.
not call? Or is
Uh-huh.
it bad? Was it a bad experience? Was it a good You see, as soon as we bad, good, me, you, like separation
Mm,
arrives, and now and then, and wrong and right, I know judgment is here. So
yeah.
curiosity, which in my view is the cure to judgment, it replaces that judgment for me. And then I realize, oh, I'm excited. It's like a lover wanting to call their loved one for a first time. It's like, yes, I'm going to talk to my kids. And it just opens and it feeds. Even as I said, and I'm saying this and I'm hearing the voices of my students and clients saying, but what if they have bad news? It's like, it doesn't matter, because that's also an opportunity. So excitement never dies in that conversation. I'm just excited to see how they're going to work with that difficulty in their life.
Mm,
But the other one is like, it's contraction. It's almost, I don't want to make the call, but I have to. So it becomes a chore, as
mm,
opposed to, oh, I want to, even if it's just 10 minutes that I have or they have. It's a different quality. And the more you ask yourself, how does it feel, or what am I feeling? It actually becomes far more clear. The more you practice, the better you recognize the difference between fear and love, and things that are judgmental or things that have curiosity and openness and contraction. So, yeah,
mm.
that's how it works for me.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, my mom always tells me, "You don't know what it's like to be a mother." I just can't help it. I get this feeling I just can't help it. And how do you experience that fear in your body? If you were to really go underneath that and really feel the energy behind that, is there any part of you that you have experienced is resisting the fear or not at all? Like,
So physically, I carry that tension and I pay a lot of attention to it in my shoulders. That's my physical language of the body. That I know that I'm contracting because I contract my shoulders. But mentally, I hear resistance. It's like, no, no. It's like, you can tell the objection is not a friendly objection.
mm,
It wants to impose.
mm,
So mentally, I hear it's not like, okay, thank you. I heard you. Thank you for your opinion. As I always say to my rational mind, thank you. Don't need your services right now. but sometimes it's like insisting. It like, I heard you. Thank you. So mind does that. And emotionally, I feel pressure in my heart. There
mm,
is, so the association is with wrong and right and suffering and bad and difficult emotions and negativity. And so it's closing, it's pressuring itself instead of opening and
mm,
wanting to sort of expand
yeah,
itself. So it
yeah.
depends. Different places in the body, for me
Wow,
at least,
that's really,
speaks different things. Yeah.
yeah, that's really clear. Wow, yeah.
So, yeah, I think this was a great discussion.
It was. It
Yeah, the
was
best part for me was that letting go is really letting be.
letting be, letting be. You know, the irony is we're having this whole conversation about it, and in its true practice, there are no words.
That's true.
There are no words. It's just being and allowing the experience of being to
Yes.
arise and pass,
Yes.
and just experiencing it for what it is in that moment. In that
Yes.
moment.
It is very hard to translate the language of higher dimensions into this third dimension that we live in. It's exactly like translating. You know, you may translate Rumi's poetry, and sometimes I read it in English, and I just like, that's not what it should be. But it is, because that's the closest word, because I can't find a better word for it. So that's where the famous statement of lost in translation came from. You're translating the consciousness and vibration of, let's say, fifth dimension or more into a dimension that is at a different level of consciousness. So you will always have that struggle with words, but we use them nevertheless. God bless words and language, because without it, we wouldn't be able to communicate and connect with each other.
Thank you, Mitra. For you listeners, if you have any comments or feedback you'd like to share with us, please don't hesitate to leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. For a list of the links and other resources referenced in this episode, check out the podcast description.
If you're benefiting from our podcast, we'd love if you could help us reach more people by subscribing. Your support means the world to us. From our hearts to yours, we thank you.